This is Doug Burgum, a former Republican governor, presidential candidate, and now the U.S. Interior Secretary. And this time, he's not just talking about rare earths. Look at this crazy admission he makes about China and electricity. The real engine behind every single piece of modern technology. Listen to this.
Because the need for electricity and energy continues to spike with all of our innovations from AI to the Golden Dome and military, right? Tell us where we are on that.
Well, the demand is going to continue to increase, Maria, because a kilowatt of electricity has never been more valuable than it is today, because for the first time in human history, you can take electricity and in an AI data center, you can convert electricity into intelligence. This is different than in the past. These aren't a traditional data center where you'd be like, oh, I'm processing a healthcare claim or a shopping order. This is literally manufacturing intelligence, and we're in a race against China. China has just opened up their electrical production. They built 94 gigawatts of coal last year. 1 gigawatt would power Denver. That's more gigawatts of coal that they produced. They're producing in 1 year, a new addition than what it takes to run all of New York and California, those two states. They've got 30 nuclear plants going. They're spending hundreds of billions on hydro. And here in the U.S., we were subsidizing intermittent forms of electricity and then shutting down all of our baseload. And of course, China loved that. Russia loved that. All of our adversaries loved the fact that we were destroying and heading our electricity grid and going towards poverty. Germany did it. Britain's done it. I mean, devastation of these countries that follow that path. But President Trump's smart enough to say we've got to get back in the game of having a tremendous amount of electricity here to be able to compete and win in the arms race, because this is the new battle for global supremacy is going to be around AI, and the U.S. can only win it if we've got enough electricity.
Last time we talked about him admitting how the United States' entire Defense Department is completely relying on China to function. And now we have Doug Burgum out here acting like he just discovered electricity. Meanwhile, China's been building super grids for a decade straight. This isn't Chinese state media that is saying it. This is Fox News again. America's #1 propaganda machine accidentally admitting that China has left the U.S. in the dust when it comes to electricity. And they're terrified. He didn't mean to admit it, but he did. The U.S. can't compete because it can't even keep the lights on. And China? They've been investing in the future this whole time. It's really not that hard to understand. You want factories? You need electricity. You want semiconductor fabs? You need electricity. You want data centers, EV production, AI training, crypto mining, smart cities, hypersonic weapons? All of it needs stable, abundant, high-voltage electricity. And guess who's already built all of that? China. They've already built the world's largest ultra-high voltage grid, 1.5 million kilometers of transmission lines stretching across deserts, mountains, and megacities. From Tibet all the way to Shanghai, power flows seamlessly across the nation. And here's the craziest part. It's clean, it's stable, it works. Now compare that to the US. Instead of investing in the technologies of the future, all Congress has done for the past decade is argue whether wind turbines make people gay, or if solar panels are some liberal plot. Besides that, literally nothing. Rolling blackouts in California, power failures in Texas every time it gets cold. A grid so outdated it literally caught fire. America's power grid is held together with duct tape, prayers, and 1970s wiring. One strong breeze and half the state is out. How on earth are you the biggest economy in the world, and this is what's powering your country? Meanwhile, China built the entire system as one integrated machine. Centralized, efficient, modern. And yet somehow, you still have these US leaders, if you can even call them that, acting like they know what they're doing. Doug's big solution? Build out transmission capacity. Groundbreaking, Doug. That was obvious in 2006. You're not breaking news, you're actually pretty late. I swear these people live in a different timeline. Like China's already powering entire regions, and Doug just figured out we need electricity. While the US was busy fighting oil wars and arguing about technology turning people liberal, China was investing massively into IT's electricity grids and plugging the world in. Laos? Plugged in. Pakistan? Plugged in. Cambodia? Already using Chinese power. You know what that means? Not only does China control rare earths, it's literally controlling the flow of power in entire regions. And the US? It can't even guarantee power to its own citizens without a wildfire or a snowstorm knocking the grid offline. Let me break this down simply. Without electricity, nothing works. Nothing moves. You can't produce, you can't export, you can't defend. And Doug Burgum just admitted on national TV, the US doesn't have the grid to do any of that. You know what that means? It means you've lost, through and through. And don't even get me started on the clean energy side. China leads the world in solar panel production, wind turbine manufacturing, battery storage, hydro, and now nuclear. And you've got Trump talking about energy independence while importing batteries, panels, chips, and praying China doesn't flip the switch. They'll spend trillions on tanks and warships, but can't get a basic power line built without 5 lawsuits and a decade of delays. And their committees? Stop. Only in the US can you have clean energy committees led by people who still think climate change is a hoax. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. The future runs on power, and China owns it. You can't build semiconductors with no electricity. You can't run data centers with blackout-prone power grids. You can't compete in AI or EVs when your factories flicker every summer. So, you tell me, how does the US even try to lead the future? If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and hit subscribe to see more content.